there are a lot of differences between kindergarten and first grade, but I think the biggest difference is they don't have a filter yet. Let me tell y'all what happened this morning. New cup, first time using it. I came in and I had the slushy machine, I had a wagon, I had so much stuff. So I just set it right here. Let me show y'all where I put it. And I just set it right there. After they write their name, they wipe it off with the wipe. My cup is next to the wipe. Flavored water all over my floor. I said, this is why you're not allowed to touch things on my desk, because I have wipes to other people places in the class. And my friend said, my mom said, you should not put stuff on the end of the table. I said, all right, I'm sorry for leaving it there, instead of having him apologize for being on my, never mind. Okay, this one might be my favorite. One of my girls, I said, I noticed, just me and her, I whispered to her, I noticed when it's time to do work, you don't really do anything. I noticed that when it's time to write our name, you're not really writing. And she said, I said, you noticed too? And she said, I don't like work. And I said, okay, facts, because we're kind of alike. And I said, well, to be smart, you're going to have to do your work in my class, because everyone in here is working on knowing new things and being really, really smart. So you're going to have to do your work. And she just looked at me, and I looked at her, and I said, okay. And she said, sometimes. So we're going to talk later about that. I'm going to gradually break her into doing work. Okay, I had to write them down. This one might be my favorite, not the last one. The last one was cute, but this one's my favorite. So we're outside on the playground. Mind you, it's warm outside. It's 95-ish. So I said, okay, it's time to go inside. And someone said, can I hold your hand? And I said, absolutely. So we're walking, and as we're walking and talking, that was my first mistake. She says, do you like to bathe? Immediately, I'm like, yes. She said, did you take a bath? And I said, I did. And I'm like, I would just die if I smelled. And I'm like, I did. I took a shower this morning before I came to work. She said, you didn't bathe good. And I said, why? Why did you say that? She said, I was still brown. And I was like, yeah, this is my color. My daddy's brown, so I'm brown just like him. Now, mind you, she's brown too. And she said, well, tonight, are you going to take a bath? I said, absolutely, I am. And she said, you're going to need to wash more so you're not brown. I said, there's no way for me to wash this off. And she said, then why are you Miss White? I got so much explaining to do in